Fina. Fell in love with that Fina. Addicted to that Fina. Sipping that Fina. Cause it's that damn good. But this video right here is not gonna be good. Okay? Not gonna be good for Hunter Hearst Helsley. Okay? And it's mainly because of his booking. Bad, poor booking. Okay? Alright? So let's go ahead and get started with this video. I think it's important to listen. And yeah, man. Let's figure out what this is about. Well, we already know, right? Let's go ahead and get started.
Y'all, Triple H is killing WWE, and no, it's not a joke, okay? It's not an over-exaggeration, none of that stuff. If he continues the trajectory that he has been on for the last, 10 to 12 months at this point, he should be fired immediately. And I'm not even kidding. I'm dead serious. He should be fired immediately if he continues this stuff. For example, right? If I'm Wendy's manager, for example, okay, and I'm not doing my job well, and the owners, the higher-ups know it, and even the people I'm working with know it, and they're not happy with me, I would get fired. So why in the world is this dude, who's the content officer of this company, if he's doing a poor job for now going up on a year now, why is he still having this job? There's no reason for it. If you're doing bad, you need to be fired. I think that by the end of this year, if this continues, he will probably be fired, but it is what it is.
I don't think Hunter should get fired. I think somebody should just take his position and while he just runs the ads and the marketing, you know what I mean? Like he is a great marketer when it comes to promos and advertisements. So why can't he just work on that? Why somebody just work on the bookkeeping and the storytelling? You know what I mean? I mean, he could still be in the company, just get somebody to take his role as the, chief creative officer, if that's what it's called.
And obviously, TKO is responsible for some of this stuff too when it comes to the presentation and the ads and the marketing and all this other nonsense. But we're talking strictly about the content and the product that we're getting in front of our faces. And Triple H is the chief content officer, so this falls on his shoulders, okay? And yes, it's a big company. It may not ever fully dissipate and just die and disappear forever, but it's going to die in terms of, what's it called, the last bit of appeal that they have for mainstream and for viewers and for wrestling fans that get fed up with the garbage that WWE is giving them. Because you understand, WWE, AEW, all these different shows, all this other stuff, right? Everyone's always, arguing of what's better. But the fact is, none of them are pulling big numbers. So it doesn't matter. You understand? Like people say NXT is the best show in wrestling. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they should care. Honestly, they're both the best. So I think people should care about those two than any other, at least for now until we can get a new creator, It's my suggestion.
You maybe get 600,000 people watching it, maybe 500,000 people watching AEW, and then WWE, the more they continue this, they're going to be dropping too. They're already losing millions of viewers anyway, so who cares who's better? They're not doing their jobs at entertaining us consistently and making things feel epic, feel great, and really feel intriguing and impactful, okay? And I should never, ever be shutting my TV off like I did last night for Raw 2 weeks before WrestleMania. That's embarrassing. With fans tuning out, the fans have been complaining this whole entire Mania build because things just aren't being booked properly. How much longer until the fans just quit entirely? With these bot fans nowadays that chant during every single promo, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. After Jey Uso last night, he's like, my brother got beat up, Oos. Crowd chants, yeet. Like, what are you chanting yeet for after that? My brother got 15 stitches, Oos. And the crowd chants, yeet. What? What are we doing? The bot, Rhea Ripley. Everyone is just obsessing over Rhea Ripley and how great she is and how amazing she is. But no one can tell you what great story she's had, what great feud she's had, where she's been the best part, and what even matches she's.
She had a great feud with Charlotte Flair. I'm typing it in right now. I mean, look, she had a great feud with Charlotte Flair. She had a great feud with Becky Lynch, right? So she also had a great feud with, Raquel Hernandez before she came to the main roster. I mean, at NXT, come on, man. Like, stop acting like she don't got no great stories. These are the great stories right here.
because she doesn't wrestle. So listen, it's embarrassing. And with the ticket prices are just egregious. The third row tickets at WrestleMania 41 this year, I think are like 8 to 9K. Really? Are you kidding me for third?
Yeah, it's crazy because when I was looking at these prices, I was just wondering, like, bro, this can't be real. I mean, you could be all that money you want from these tickets. We could be using that to get our car fixed or our mortgage paid or pay off our loans. And instead, you want us to face this. Forget it.
Row seats for this Mania? For Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre? I can't stop thinking about Punk. For Jey Uso versus Gunther? You know, well, how in the world are these tickets that expensive? And then you remember last year, at this point last year, they already had like at least 6 to 8 sellouts minimum on Raws and SmackDowns in the year already 4 months in. Already. This year, how many sellouts do you have? How many? Maybe 3? 2? I mean, like, what are we doing? This is embarrassing at this point. And when I say 6 to 8 last year, they probably had like 8 to 10 sellouts realistically. Because the Raw and SmackDown after Mania last year sold out, I think. Yet all the shows Rock and Roman were on with Cody and Rollins were all selling out. You know, some Raws without them were selling out too. It's too much. They were selling out everything. Everything was great. And the tickets weren't egregious. But now you look at it and it's just absolutely embarrassing. And to put it into perspective, just think about this for a second. This is ridiculous, okay? After Mania, there's going to be dark days. We already know this, okay? Cody Rhodes is likely going to take a couple months off because he had the belt for a year. And last year, you know, after Roman had the belt for a long period of time, they had Roman, you know, he took his time off, right? So I'm expecting Cody to take a couple months off. Roman will obviously be taking months off. There was a big rumor going around last week that Roman was going to take a couple months off after this Mania 41 and then return in the summer to build a match versus CM Punk at SummerSlam. We know The Rock is out of the equation. You know, John Cena is going to be a part-time champion until probably June when his schedule lines up. And he's got a lot of dates left the rest of the year, so he'll become semi-full-time, but that's going to be in the summer, you know, so we got 2 months before that. Jey Uso will be your world champion. We'll give him a chance. I don't want to say he's going to be a bad world champion before he gets it, but the optics are already not looking good for Jey Uso, okay? Logan Paul's obviously going to be gone. He's a part-timer, you know what I'm saying? The Intercontinental Championship and the U.S. belt mean absolutely nothing in either division. They bounce from person to person now. No one cares about them. There's no meaningful or engaging feuds. LA Knight lost the belt to Shinsuke, who then proceeded to have one title defense in 3 months and then lost on that title defense. You know, Braun Breaker's Intercontinental Championship is just barking at people and spearing once every 5 or 6 weeks. That's it. This is embarrassing at this point. You know, there's nothing really to say about it. The tag team division in both divisions is garbage. So that's that. You know, Gunther, Punk, and Drew are obviously all going to be out of the title picture because, you know, none of them are going to beat John Cena. Maybe CM Punk fights Cena at Money in the Bank, if that. But Drew and Gunther are going to be out of the world title picture this year probably because we know they're not going to win it. So it's over. You know, Tiffany Stratton stinks at storytelling. You know, Bianca has one good story with Becky Lynch she did, and maybe a couple others here and there. And then Io and Rhea can't tell stories. So the world title pictures are cooked. The mid-card is cooked. And the absolute main event WWE championships are basically cooked until John Cena becomes semi-full-time in the summer as WWE champion because he's probably going to win at WrestleMania. And the women's division is awful. There's no story, there's no promos, there's no gimmicks, it's just matches and matches and matches. And matches that are solid only get you so far. You know, that's why no one is over in the women's division besides like 5 people. Liv, Naomi, Rhea, you know, Tiffany Stratton, I guess, and Bianca Belair.
You forgot about Nia Jax, but she haven't been on TV, so, I mean, whatever. But, yeah, he's right. I mean, all 5 of them are definitely over with the crowd, but however... lately, they haven't really been showing love to Bianca, but I would say about like Rhea and Liv Morgan and are like the only ones that people can't really seem to shut off and really can't ignore and can't really boo because they haven't really done anything for people to say fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Tiffany and Naomi, well, they just got a mutual love. You know what I'm saying? But however, I feel like. But listen, all 4 of these women came from NXT, okay? Naomi's the only one that haven't, you know what I mean? So it's just like, if anybody should put some respect on, it's Naomi, because remember, she came in the game before all 4 of them even hit up. So it's kind of like, if anybody should be over the crowd, it should be Naomi, but because, you know, people are looking at Liv and Rhea and Tiffany a little bit, and, you know, they're not looking at it like that. You know, Bianca Ben had her fan base, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, there's some NXT fans that still love the sport. And it's just like that. That's why Charlotte shouldn't be winning at WrestleMania 41 because people want Tiffany. They don't want Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? Like, but people don't want Rhea to win, though. They want Bianca to win or Io Sky to retain. You know what I'm saying? So Rhea's going to have to turn heel and maybe, hopefully, she'll go after Liv and Raquel, but I don't know. But yeah, right now, it's definitely a fan base are up, for all five, but mainly Liv and Rhea are the only ones that got a strong fan base, and they ain't going nowhere, and they're definitely not going to get booed like that unless they do something that people would never forgive them for, and right now they haven't done anything that can make the crowd say, boo them to the point where they can't talk, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, he's right about that, I just wish that people would keep the same love for Nia Jax, because she don't deserve to get booed to the point where people can't hear her talk, you know what I'm saying? But that's because, fans don't, they don't know who to cheer for and they don't know who to boo for. So it is what it is at this point.
And that's about all you got. Maybe Io Sky as well. Jade Cargill's getting close to being over, but people who can wrestle decent matches like Zelina Vega, Lyra Valkyria, Candice LeRae, you know what I'm saying? Dakota Kai, Ivy Nile, even Bayley now, who.
Besides Bayley and Zelina Vega, it's a shame these women came from NXT and then come to the main roster and get treated like jobbers. But then Lyra got the title. You know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff has to change, man. I mean, Bayley good, but everybody else, man, they really got to, somebody got to really work with these women because Fat Candice and Nia Jax are not on TV, man. Something's not right with that, bro. Something not right.
Just barely wrestling decent matches. They're all not over at all. No one knows who these women wrestlers are. They come out to no reaction, no pop. And the reason for this is because they're all jobbers because Triple H doesn't let them do anything. If you can't prove you can cut it on the mic, and if you just can't cut promos in general, you have no significance long term. If you can't tell stories, why should anyone care about what you're doing? If your entrance sucks, no one can recognize you, so no one knows who you are. It's an embarrassment. The way the whole thing is set up for you to fail pretty much, And then after this, you're left with what? After Mania is done, you're left with what? Penta versus Ludwig? Jacob Fatu as your U.S. champion versus Solo Sikoa? Jey Uso as world champ versus Damian Priest again or Finn Balor? I mean, come on. Zoe Stark versus Chelsea Green? Dakota Kai versus Rhea Ripley?
I mean, the Penta Kaiser thing, we already saw that. Jacob and Solo, we should have had at WrestleMania 41. And Jay versus Dame, I don't mind that. Zoe versus Chelsea, I don't mind that. Rhea versus Dakota, don't mind that at all.
It's over. How long will it last until the fans just give up on this completely? They're already tuning out. The viewership is in severe danger. Look at last year's winners after WrestleMania and look how quickly things started to decimate, deplete themselves. In the summer, Sami Zayn's championship reign was already getting boring. What's his name? Logan Paul wasn't there to defend his title at all. Cody Rhodes' championship reign was already getting boring. Just suit promos, not really much wrestling literally at all. And by the end of the year last year, things were boring, they were stale, and even immediately after Mania, fans were chanting, "We want Roman" at every show. Because they already had given up on what they were seeing. They needed Roman back. They needed a true megastar to come back in. They needed The Rock to come back, etc. This is what happens. The viewership is in severe danger. I don't know what people are talking about, just glossing over that the fact that the opening episode of Raw on Netflix, you get nearly 6 million globally, and then the following week, you're down in the 3 millions, and then the following weeks after that, you're struggling to get 3 million. Do you understand how bad and how nonsensical and how meaningless that your product must be? That at the first time you got 6 million people, yay, awesome. And then the following 2 weeks later, you can barely get half of that. What? That means that you're either not interesting, you're not engaging, or the show simply sucks. And the truth is, the show sucks. And it's as simple as that. WWE talks about all these, the social media views. None of that stuff matters. How many people are actually tuning into the product to see the YouTube segment? Because YouTube is all that matters. Instagram and TikTok views, nobody cares about that for wrestling. You understand? The problem is YouTube. That's what we need to worry about. YouTube is what, shows, hey, if I miss this segment, I'm going to go watch the full thing on YouTube. So if those numbers are high, then that's a good sign. But only Roman, The Rock, John Cena and maybe CM Punk sometimes can pull those big numbers, those millions of views on their segments, like recently with SmackDown with Roman and Punk and Rollins, and then obviously when The Rock's there and Cena's heel turn, Cena's promo with Cody. Those are the segments that are going to pull the big numbers. You know what I'm saying? And 3 out of 4 of those people are heavy part-timers or are simply don't wrestle much or are old as dirt in wrestling years. Roman Reigns is a heavy part-timer. The Rock's never there, really. And then John Cena is part-timing it as well. Punk, he doesn't even wrestle that much. He wrestles maybe 8 to 10 matches a year max. And this is why the first episode of Raw on Netflix was the most popular one they had. That's why they had 6 million to begin with, because you had all these stars. You promised the fans, hey, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. Oh, Roman and Cena and Rollins and The Rock is there, etc., etc. And the following week, when you see Penta versus Pete Dunne, you're like, what the heck is this? This is garbage. This is not going to work. And the fact that outside of all these guys, the main guys, the top guys in the company are either part-timers in the ring or part-timers in general in terms of showing up or are on their way out the door, like Cena retiring at the end of this year, etc. So what full-time wrestlers do you have that can get those millions of views on their YouTubes, on their YouTube videos that, cover their segments, or can get millions of people to tune in consistently, or tell elite stories or elite promos or has consistently great matches or is going to go down as a legend or an all-time great? No one. You have nothing. So if you have no one like that, you have no draw. WWE is just falling out of the mainstream consistently now because outside of a few people, like I mentioned before, with Roman, Punk, Cena, Rock, etc. There's no etc. That's pretty much it, actually, except for maybe Rhea Ripley, who's kind of mainstream now at this point, which, again, it's just goons and bots at this point. I mean, there's really nothing to even talk about here. But that, outside of those people, no one's pulling in millions of views. No one's doing it. And with Triple H and his new formats, the ads, the no wrestling of no one wrestles consistently who is in a prominent position in the company. If you are someone who's going to be in a Mania main event or a Mania upper card match, I guarantee that you maybe wrestle one TV match a month max. Just go down the list. CM Punk never wrestles on TV really at all. He's had 1 TV match, I think, since coming back to WWE, or maybe 2, or maybe actually 3. 2 with Rollins, right? And then and then 1 with Sami Zayn, and that's it. And he's been back now for like nearly going on 2 years by the end of this year. So it's just it gets to a point at this point. Rhea Ripley, 5 or 6 Raw matches in 400 days. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. Roman Reigns, when's the last time he's had a TV match? I can't even tell you. When's the last time Seth Rollins had a TV match? 4 weeks ago? 3 or 4 weeks ago? I mean, come on. And he's supposed to be the workhorse. It's just come on with this stuff. No one of prominence wrestles Gunther, your world champion. Maybe 2 matches this year. Maybe. The shows aren't meaningful anymore. And that's why millions of people have stopped tuning in on Raw and Netflix. And millions of people have stopped, or hundreds of thousands, millions of people, whatever you want to call it, have stopped tuning in to the SmackDowns. The 5-match PLE format. If you're not going to do anything on the shows in between, well, hey, at least maybe you can look forward to the PLEs, you would think, right? But you can't even look forward to the PLEs because the PLEs have 5 matches. They're largely very predictable, especially following Mania or right before Mania. You know that the matches are going to be predictable. They're not going to pull any surprises, any crazy booking, none of that stuff. None of it. It's just going to be a bunch of repetitive matches that we've seen a billion times. Just look what we get on SmackDown, and then look what we're getting now. This card stinks. Look at the Mania card. This Mania build being one of the worst Mania builds of all time is indicative that Triple H is horrible at his job. We're seeing it in front of our face. And with bad booking and the lack of talent development, I mean, this is just embarrassing. Tiffany Stratton has not developed anything since she's came to the main roster. She botches her moonsaults, her flips, all that stuff. Her mic skills are very, immature and just not good at all. She's taking personal shots in order to get over on the mic. This is sad. It's just unprofessional. It's garbage. Charlotte Flair is being unprofessional in their segment, and she's a longtime vet. You just can't trust anyone anymore. Rhea Ripley, what has she done to improve herself storytelling-wise or mic-wise or even in-ring-wise over the last year or 2? Nothing. Gunther, what has Gunther done to develop himself? He came in doing 4 or 5 moves, and he's still doing 4 or 5 moves, and he's not cutting good promos. So I don't know what to say about this. Braun Breaker, elite athleticism, great future potential. He has decent mic skills. His entrance sucks, obviously, but he's got potential to be great. And he's relegated to before the last couple weeks, he maybe showed up once every 5 or 6 weeks on average as the Intercontinental Champion. And it just goes to show you the truth is about Triple H, no matter how much talent you have, no matter how much great potential you have, a potential great future you have, however good on the mic you are, how athletic you are, how good your entrance is, etc., you cannot get over in the Triple H era unless you have a one-word catchphrase that the fans catch on to, you maybe have a catchy entrance, or Triple H actually decides to book you as a main eventer. That's it. That's the only ways you get over now, because Triple H does not have the ability to put you in positions to succeed. If you're not good on the mic, then have them wrestle great matches in the ring. If you're not great in the ring, then and you're good on the mic, then have them cut promos and wrestle, semi-consistently. But if you're not good at both, and Triple H isn't booking you to be good at both or develop your skills at all, then you cannot elevate. It's as simple as that. The whole system is built for nothing. It's built on failures. Logan Paul, when are we going to finally give him his chance? He's solid on the mic. I mean, recently he struggled a little bit, but he's solid on the mic usually. He's amazing in the ring, absolutely incredible in the ring. And he's getting nothing. Nothing. An AJ Styles match? Why? Well, Logan Paul should genuinely be fighting for a world title or an IC title minimum. I don't care that he's a part-timer, because at least Logan Paul, when he does show up, is going to be great. That's something that we can at least expect. And Carmelo Hayes, amazing entrance, athletic in the ring, a great seller, good moveset. He's solid on the mic as well. He's got charisma. And you mean to tell me that he's not even on the Mania card? Not even on the Mania card. He's the Miz's sidekick now. Sheamus and Ludwig, all the work they put in last year in the mid-card, and even going into the early parts of this year, and they're watching Mania at home on the couch. But Finn Balor, who's won one singles match in like 8 months, Dominic Mysterio can't even tell you the last time he competed for anything, and Penta, whose best win was over Ludwig Kaiser, the same dude who was elevating last year, and somehow those people on the Mania card in a title match. LA Knight, how has this dude been this over for this long? Good in the ring, good on the mic, still developing and getting even better in the ring week after week, and he's good on the mic, he's super over with the crowd, and you mean to tell me that he is still relegated to doing mid-card nothing matches? No one cares about this match with Jacob Fatu. If he loses the belt, it would be predictable at this point because the booking for him has been atrocious. And if he wins, so what? More U.S. title reigns from a dude who should be getting world title reigns. And then Drew McIntyre. This guy has been complaining for a year now, and all he can do is do a stupid feud with Damian Priest for WrestleMania. Lyra Valkyria in the women's division. What does she do? Women's IC champ doing nothing. Chelsea Green, women's US champ doing nothing, etc. All of these different talent and multiple others I didn't even talk about have not progressed at all in booking and even in ability, because they can't. Whether it's on them or whether it's on Triple H, the coinciding of both of them is making it so that they can't grow, they can't develop, and they can't become new superstars that can actually carry a generation. A next Cena, a next Roman Reigns, a next, a next Undertaker instead of the next Rock, the next Austin, etc. You had nothing like that. Forget that. You're not getting it. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous at this point. And when none of the stars are progressing, none of the storylines are progressing, you get Mania builds like this that are absolutely awful. You have a year in between last year's Mania and this year's Mania, and things have gotten so much worse that it's not even fun anymore. This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's been 1 year, and the same people who were involved in last year's Mania, the same people involved in this year's Mania, now adding Punk and Cena to the mix, and you still can't make a good Mania build, which all falls on the shoulders of the booker, Triple H. He's the one in charge of this content. He's the reason why people like Roman Reigns are getting demoted. They go from 4-year championship reigns to having to take 4 months to beat Solo Sikoa for a Ulafala. That's the situation that Triple H puts these people in. Even if you're great, you still get booked mid. Seth Rollins, all the great things he's able to do, and you mean to tell me that the best thing you could give him was a Brunson Reed feud? And then you follow it up now and he's forced into another feud. He's the one who started the feud with CM Punk. And now all of a sudden he feels like the third fiddle in the feud. And now we're doing this fake favor BS. Like, why are we rehashing all these old gimmicks? Oh, who's going to turn on who in the Judgment Day? Who's going to do who? No one cares. The storyline's dead. End the Judgment Day. Anyone who's caught in the vortex of the Judgment Day immediately becomes more boring and less interesting.
You motherfucking right?
Seth Rollins. I actually kind of like the feud with Brunson Reed, to be honest with you. But after that, he hasn't done anything. Unfortunately, Brunson getting hurt a lot of things. But still, CM Punk, he wants to main event Mania and win world title gold. And all you can give him is some corny night one main event for nothing? For nothing? What is this? Paul Heyman on a pole match. That's what you got for your Mania night one main event. It's from top to bottom, it's not working. And the more that this continues, when all the draws, the real draws in the company are basically all part-timers are essentially retiring soon, in the next couple years. And no one new is coming up with legendary mainstream appeal, as an all-time great wrestler, performer, none of that stuff. You have no one coming through the pipeline. There's no reason to watch weekly, so people are already tuning out week after week. You have no hype. The quality is objectively declining, and fans are upset, complaining for an entire Mania build. Destruction is going to come to this company. It's as simple as that. WWE will eventually be on real life support at this point and in severe danger of dying, you know what I'm saying, not selling tickets, heading back to the 2018, 2019 days where you're struggling to sell tickets, fans are tuning out, wrestlers leaving the company, etc., fans' intrigue going down, and the viewership going down, and you will eventually fall off the face of the earth and become objectively garbage from top to bottom, and people will give up on the WWE if this trajectory continues. Just watch. These aren't this is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. So I thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. I respect you. And I love you. And I hope you all have a phenomenal day. Thanks for watching again. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.
All right, the next video is pretty much him talking about the fans, so we're going to go ahead and play this since it's only 12 minutes, so let's go.
Take a sip of my libation here. I respect you. I love you. I appreciate you. And today, I had to come on camera because I want to reminisce. I just want to talk about something quickly before we get into this video. Remember when WrestleMania used to feel so joyful, so impactful, so hype? You were seeing matches you had never seen before. You were begging your mom to go pay for the pay-per-view. You know, your mom or your dad, whatever, to go, someone come buy me the pay-per-view. You get what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, these feuds, the drama of it, the intrigue, even last year, the amazing builds The Rock was doing with Roman and Cody and Seth, you know, weeks before Mania, we're getting cool matchups, never before seen storylines, etc. And now you look at Mania, and this WrestleMania build is awful. And the reason why it's awful is partly because WWE does not care about the fans, and Triple H doesn't either, and he stinks at his job as a booker. And we all know this, and we're seeing it in front of our face. If WWE truly cared about the fans, as the product and the profits and the viewership is going down, we would not be getting more advertisements. We would be getting a product that hopefully gets better. If WWE really cared about the fans, we wouldn't be getting more ads, as we get more ads now than we see our world champions like Cody and Gunther and all these people. We see ads more than we see them. We see more unfunny comedians and D-list celebrities than we see from Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes or any of these people, John Cena, etc. It's unbearable. This is the worst WrestleMania build of all time. And despite that, WWE and Triple H have the audacity to sit there and try and convince fans and just lie to them that this Mania season is great. Papa H is cooking. Fina, I'm the gamer. We're in a new era. Stop. It's trash. And if you think for 1 second I'm going to sit here and get, hoodwinked into the garbage lies that they're spewing when we're getting bad Mania feuds, bad storytelling, bad promos, repetitive shows, repetitive matches, and repetitive trash, I ain't falling for it. Like John Cena said last week, just because someone mediocre holds something meaningful nowadays, it's enough to trick these bot fans into doing nonsense. Like Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. We are bots. That's what we're getting. You understand? It's unbearable. WWE has done everything in their power to manipulate, to lie, to hoodwink, to fool the fans into believing that garbage is greatness. But garbage is not greatness. Garbage is garbage. And that's why we have to sit here and critique and, bash this company until they get it through their heads that wrestling is not the problem. It's the people who are running wrestling companies that are the problem. And with WWE, it's not, it can't be any more clear than what we're seeing. You understand? So I wanted to preface that before I get into this video talking about why WWE and Triple H do not care about the fans at all. You understand that? Now, with that being said, let's pop another sip of the libation here. I can't stop thinking about pork. But anyways, let's get into the video with everyone saying Cjax spits facts. Yeah! First off, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, okay? I don't know if you guys have been hearing or listening to any stuff about the ticket prices about this year's WrestleMania and why they're still missing thousands of seats. And the PLE, I think it's like, 13 days away now, or 12 days, whatever it is. The reason why is partly because the ticket sales are egregious. For third row seats, it's dang near $9,000 before the fees. Then you add the fees, you may be paying $10K for third row seats. What? As the product is down as bad as it is, you look at this Mania card, you look at Jey Uso versus Gunther, Charlotte versus Tiffany, you know what I'm saying? El Grande Americano, versus Rey Mysterio, the Fatal 4 for the Intercontinental Championship that no one cares about, that makes no sense, Rhea Ripley versus Io versus Bianca, another poor story, okay? And even Roman, Seth, and Punk, even though it has hype, the story for it has not been good at all, And that's just 6 matches alone. Look at the other ones. And you mean to tell me that for this, as the product, like I said, goes down, as the booking goes down, as the hype is not there, you're going to charge your fans $10,000 for third row seats. This is what the company is concerned with, not the actual product or the quality of it. No one cares about that anymore. It's just, hey, we'll give you a bad product, but hey, give me $10,000 for you to get the third row seat to watch the garbage product.
Are you out of your mind? Dusty?
What? They're hoodwinking the fans. They're lying to the fans, and they're manipulating the fans. Who in their right mind would actually spend anything over $100 to show up to this WrestleMania? Be real with yourself. There's no reason. I know people going to this Mania 41 that are absolutely disgusted, but it's too late now, so they don't want to refund the tickets. I get it, but this is embarrassing at this point. As we are witnessing poor builds and poor feuds and poor stories, WWE is charging more for tickets. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? You know, it's just ridiculous at this point. And the second most important thing that we have to discuss here, and this is actually a really good point in my opinion, when you really think about it, a year in advance of this Mania 41, Triple H was already saying, this is going to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time, it's going to be bigger than ever, WWE is as hottest as it's ever been, and then he did it under like the Fiend commercial, you know what I'm saying? And after he was doing all of this, he literally, you know, it's like we were all excited, because we were literally excited for what Triple H was saying, because we had just gotten a great Mania, so it's like, okay, let's believe in this guy. And then we had our fantasy booking ideas, which a lot of the fantasy booking ideas went as follows. Roman Reigns versus The Rock in the main event of WrestleMania, right? The night one main event being either Cody versus, heel Orton for the WWE title, or Gunther versus John Cena for the world title, so he gets his 17th. Jey Uso and Jimmy maybe reuniting and fighting for the tag belts or something like that. Maybe fighting a heel New Day. That could have been a pretty fun feud, because they used to put on bangers back in the 2010s, you dig? Okay, Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton, they did that, but the build for it sucked, so that doesn't matter. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair for the world title. Now that's a triple threat, meaningless, thrown together match, which, by the way, why are there so many fatal four-ways and triple threats and multi-man matches? You understand why? It's because WWE has no idea what they're doing, so let's just throw all the talent in these random matches. But the actual people who deserve to be on the card, like Sheamus or Ludwig or Melo Hayes, or any of these people, get absolutely nothing but airtime. That's all they get. They get nothing. They're going to be watching the show from home, eating burgers in Vegas. So that's it. But anyways, back to the point. Along with the other fantasy booking, you had those matches. You had Intercontinental Championship matches between Braun Breaker and Sheamus. Sheamus finally winning his IC belt. Logan Paul fighting versus, anybody. AJ Styles works, then you can fit that in there. Chad Gable actually getting to do something. Maybe fighting LA Knight for the US belt. Or maybe Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, and Chad Gable. That's one triple threat. And then a bunch of singles matches. So that way you're not just forcing talent on the card. You actually have something for us to look forward to. But instead, we are getting a card that is filled with garbage, right? That's not what the fans want at all. The builds have been poor. The fans have sat here this entire Mania season complaining about the build, critiquing the build, and the best thing that Triple H had to offer was forced triple threat matches, forced fatal four-ways, forced one-on-one matches that no one cares about. Who is paying $10K for El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio? For Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. Both of those matches will probably be bangers in ring, but in terms of the actual quality and the meaningfulness of them, why are they there? Why? This is embarrassing. The women's IC belt, not on the card. Women's US belt, not on the card. Tag team belts, not on the card. Maybe the women's tag team championships will be on the card, but other than that, nobody cares about this stuff. It is a joke. They didn't listen to the fans at all, despite us being told how amazing everything is, and Triple H listens to the fans. He monitors the feedback on X and on YouTube and on Instagram, all this stuff. Well, why didn't he monitor the feedback and make a good Mania? Huh? What was so hard about doing that? And now you factor this in as well. Another reason they don't care about the fans is that as we're starting to witness, the actual wrestling and entertainment, the storytelling aspect of wrestling, which is what made it as great as it was in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression, in moments throughout the PG era, and moments throughout even the 2020s so far. Those elements have been substituted for no-name celebrities showing up, for unfunny comedians, and a boatload of sponsorships and advertisements for nothing that no one cares about. I don't care about drumsticks and John Cena in a commercial. I want to see John Cena on the show cutting promos or wrestling. I don't care about Snickers and M&Ms in Minecraft movie, in this movie, in that movie, in Hulk Hogan's American beer that no one cares about. The only drink I'm worried about is Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly. But for real though, be real with yourself, man. Nobody cares about this stuff. This is absolute nonsense. Nobody wants to sit back and watch garbage content and watch a bunch of advertisements and what's called nonsensical sponsorships taking place of actual matches or stories that can be built. Just think about how many times a week we sit here and get an ad for a Pat McAfee show, or Triple H's Hall of Fame induction, or a replayed vignette of a promo that happened a week or two prior. Why are we seeing so many of these replays, repetitive, nonsensical segments that fill up airtime for the show? Instead of that, give us actual matches. Give us professional wrestling, entertainment, drama, storytelling, and impact. That's what wrestling has been built on for decades, and that's what's made it so great in the past. Why are we straying away from that to make it a couple extra bucks by advertising some Snickers or some M&Ms or a Minecraft film?
Yeah, I was wondering, why is this on the banner? I was just wondering, is there any celebrities from the WWE roster going to be in that film? And I looked at the cast, and they're not even on there. Nobody's on there. I thought Rhea was going to be on there, but no, nobody's on it. So why are you advertising it? But they're not the only one. AEW doing the same thing, and I'm like, are they all going to be on there too? It don't make no sense, but damn.
Really? This is what it's become? I told you, this company, WWE and TKO, right, and Triple H themselves, they do not care about the fans. If they cared about the fans, we would have a better product. They're fleecing money. They're stealing money from Netflix. They stole $5 billion from Netflix, and in return, they've had millions of people tune out of their product over the last couple months just alone. Just alone. Why do you think that is? You know how bad your product has to be for 6 million people to be watching it, and then proceeding the following weeks afterwards, no one's watching it anymore? You have like half the audience now? Half the people tuned out because they're like, hey, this either sucks, we don't care about it, it's not meaningful, it's not entertaining, and quite frankly, there's no stars. There's 0 stars. And again, another thing, if WWE cared about the fans, we would actually be getting more stars. We would be seeing our younger talents wrestling consistently. We would be seeing our older talents even, at least in the ring cutting promos or doing something. But instead, we get nothing. You get nothing as a fan. You get ads, you get sponsors, you get inclining ticket prices, you get all kinds of garbage to fill the void of there being no real actual good content from this company anymore, at least on a consistent basis. It's an absolute farce, it's a lie, and it is embarrassing. The fans have been absolutely hoodwinked and they've been tricked. We're supposed to be getting content that's going to have us excited and joyful and hyped for this Mania season. But WrestleMania is happening next weekend, and it feels like a glorified crown jewel. Been saying that for weeks. It's a glorified crown jewel that no one cares about. Come on, man. This Raw, it's 2 weeks before Mania. We're getting random matches that no one remembers, no one's thinking about, and no one cares for. And so because of this, we have a Mania season now that has no hype, no intrigue, no build. People are not selling out these stadiums because nobody cares. And it's because nobody cares that the WWE now doesn't care first, and now the fans don't care, and it's going to cause a more of a decline in viewership, more of a decline in ratings, and more of a decline in overall quality. And it's because of this that we will witness of the eventual failure and the downfall fully of WWE, as they sacrificed what fans want and what built fans' excitement for this company and their intrigue and their interest over the last, 20, 30 years, however many years, 40 years, whatever, right? The reason the intrigue has been this high is simply because of the stories, the wrestlers, the performers, the entertainment, the iconic moments, the Manias, the SummerSlams, the Survivor Series, the Chambers, etc. The matches, the moments, the OMG, this is awesome. That type of stuff. Not ads and D-list celebrities and D-list comedians that aren't funny at all. We want wrestling. We want professional wrestling. We want stories. We want drama. We want excitement. We want joy. That's what we want. Wrestling isn't the problem. It's the people who are running it. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out. And one love.
Well, I don't know what to tell y'all, man. Like I said, if Hunter don't get it together, I think somebody need to take his place, just for the bookings, and he can just do the ads, just do the marketing, So I'm going to let y'all discuss in the comment box, but y'all get in the comment box and make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share if you're new. What do you guys think about these 2 videos, man? Do you think that Hunter's in trouble? And do you think if he don't get it together, he might get fired? And by fire, I don't want him to get fired. I want him to be replaced. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you won't take this position no more, but you can still work for the company. You know what I'm saying? You can still do ads and marketing and whatnot. I don't know. If we can get that up, at least he'll still have his job. but he just won't have his position. So that's just me. But y'all can comment down below and talk about it. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share if you're new. And I'll catch y'all in the next video, all right? Pray for Triple H. I'm out.